You're listening to Women Infused Radio, where women in the marketplace connect with purpose and spirit, where the conversation covers all things women, business, and fascinating faith. And now, your host, Christy Lynn Olson.
Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of the Women Infused Radio podcast show. Today's show features an interview I did with Betsy Lavin, one of our co-authors of our Women Infused 2-volume book series entitled We Walk by Faith and Not by Sight, Women of Faith in the Marketplace. Betsy wrote her chapter in volume 2 of the series, so make sure you get the book and read her entire story, available now on Amazon.com. I want to welcome you here to the Women Infused community and let you know that the complete, uncut, full-length interviews for our We Walk by Faith series are available exclusively on the Women Infused Network Broadcast app, which you can download if you haven't done it already. It's a free download available on Apple and Android. Just go to womeninfusedapp.com. There's a link down in the show notes, and we'd love for you to join our community of spirit and purpose-filled women of faith, where you will find relevant VIP broadcasts in the areas of faith, lifestyle, and work, plus a free Bible app and study tools that will help you dig deeper into God's Word for yourself. When you download the app, all you have to do is register, log in, and then search for the Women Infused podcast channel. And there you will be able to download a free copy of our bonus devotional ebook, Love Notes of Encouragement for Women of Faith in the Marketplace. This is our free gift to you. In it, you will find more words of wisdom from the co-authors of our book series, plus a space to journal and pray over each specific topic mentioned by the author. We pray that this ebook will bless you, inspire you, and encourage you in your journey of faith as you walk out your unique assignment in the marketplace. Now let me introduce you to today's guest, Dr. Betsy Lavin. I first met Betsy when she and I went through the same Christian training program, I want to say about 10 years ago. She is such a gifted woman of God. Led by a strong sense of purpose and calling for her own life, author and speaker Dr. Betsy Lavin is passionate about developing confident Christians personally and professionally. Her signature coaching and speaking platform, God's Masterpiece, Unveiling Your Spiritual Gifts to Reveal Your True Potential, has created a movement to help you as a Christian man or woman embrace your God-given spiritual gifts and strengths so that you can live with focus and clarity of God's call for your life. Her 6-hour Spiritual Gifts workshop is specifically designed for churches who are ready to experience their spiritual gifts on a deeper or more personal level. She is also the author and creator of the Christian Life Plan program, Find Your Beautiful, Discovering God's Divine Design and Purpose for Your Life, and she welcomes group or individual coaching programs. She enjoys sharing her inspiring message of "You are God's masterpiece, reveal it and use it" through motivational speaking around the United States. Betsy is also a doctor of chiropractic with 25 years of experience in health and wellness, and she specializes in nutrition and acupuncture. She lives with her husband Pete on a 4-generational farm in rural southwest Minnesota. Let's listen in now to our interview. Today, I want to welcome my guest, Dr. Betsy Lavin, and she is definitely someone who belongs on Women Infused Radio, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But Betsy, welcome to Women Infused Radio.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, this is such a fun series for me to do because, as you know, we recently released the book, We Walk by Faith and Not by Sight, Women of Faith in the Marketplace. And Betsy, you definitely have a unique situation that I think a lot of our listeners are going to be excited to hear about. You really have had 2 careers going side by side for a while now. So I was wondering if you could share a little more. How does that fit in then to the way God designed you? And the second part of the question would be, and have there been any challenges in kind of running 2 careers side by side?
Well, it's definitely a challenging situation. I'm a chiropractor, and I've been a chiropractor for 25 years and still in practice. Mm-hmm. And I'm also a Christian life coach. And so to I'm lucky in the fact that I can do all of these things either in my home or in my wellness center. So physically, the space is easy to do the coaching and the chiropractic in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the two together really, once I um, resolved the fact that God wanted me to not only just work on the physical part of people's body, He wanted me also work on their spiritual and their emotional, mental, all of those things as well, and to take it like a whole body approach.
Mm-hmm.
That really changed how I connected the two businesses together. And it's been such a blessing. But of course, like you said, there's challenges. And probably the greatest challenge is the fact that it's hard to put all your focus into one and without letting the other one suffer. And it just seems like there's always demands from one or the other. And so to be that multitasker
Mm-hmm.
has become quite challenging, to make sure, each business is doing its own thing. And to be able to flip back and forth every other day has been kind of challenging.
Well, and I can see we wear a lot of hats as women anyway in the rest of our lives. And so if you're talking, not only, it's not just a job, you own two businesses that you're trying to keep the balls rolling. So even though they are connected in that whole body, mind, spirit arena, you definitely have to look at two different pieces of that. And now, one of the things I think helps you probably is we all try and play to our strengths. And I talk a lot about the Strength Finder 2.0 assessment, and I know you are definitely someone who teaches on gifts and strengths. What do you think? You told me your strengths were maximizer, achiever, learner, strategic, and futuristic. As you're balancing these two careers, what one of those strengths, or maybe there's a combination of them, have kind of risen to the top and really helped you the most, do you think, when it comes to being successful?
Oh, no doubt the maximizer is my greatest strength. I love the other ones, and they're all kind of in the background. But as a maximizer, and for those of you that don't know what that is, that means that everything that I do is to a level of excellence. Some people will put in average amount of work into a situation or into a project, and they're content with that. I have to make sure, if there's something already strong and doing well, I love to go in and just transform it and to make it into something superb or excellent. That's what drives me. And so I tend to search out the best in everybody. What are they really good at? Whether it's myself or other people. And then I like to nurture it. I like to challenge people with it. And so if I can help them capitalize on their strengths, what they're really good at, versus let's not focus on what we lack. To me, that's what energizes me. And so if I can go in and I get my staff in my chiropractic clinic and I get them working and excelling at what they do best, they're so happy, and that energy is just vibrated out to all of the patients that come in. And if I can help the patients in helping what they're really good at, and the same with my coaching, and that's by far the greatest thing, is once I realize that teaching strengths and spiritual gifts is my greatest gift, what God has really called me to do, it's allowed me that confidence that we lack, because we're always doubting, am I good at this or am I not good at it? And so for me, maximizing it, taking what people are good at and really making it even better, excelling, is really what I'm so thankful that I learned early on. That was one of my strengths.
And you brought up an important point. It's not only important for us to discover what our strengths are and our gifts are and use them, but to claim them as divinely designed, to claim them as ours and kind of step into that space. I know I've talked to you a couple of times, and I recently mentioned that I'm 54 years old and I feel like I still haven't done all the things I need to do. And part of that journey for me was acknowledging I haven't really boldly claimed all of the gifts God has given to me. So why is it so important? If you could share for other women, why is it important for them to not only discover their gifts, but to claim them as their own?
I think it's what gives us the confidence to know that they're God and they're God-given. It's okay to say, well, yeah, I'm natural at leading, or I'm natural at this. But once we make that flip in our lives and truly just claim those gifts, it gives us our life purpose. It defines it for us. And so whatever it is that whoever is listening today, if they're really, if they kind of have an idea what their gifts are, but not real sure, I would just say claim them. Really discover what your top gifts are so that when you can claim them as, oh my gosh, God gave me these. I must be significant. Mm-hmm. If he gave them to me, he doesn't want me to leave them sitting on the wayside. He's created me to be his masterpiece. He's called me and equipped me to serve. And so just to know that they're God-given gives us permission to step out more boldly, to have more confidence, I think, when we're using them.
Well, and have you ever felt guilty for saying no to something that really fell outside the realm of your gifts, but because we're all high-achieving women, we're like, oh, but we can do that, or we can learn that?
Oh, absolutely. I used to do that. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of learned,
okay.
Of course I did, because I just, you want to please everybody and you want to be everything to everyone. Mm-hmm. And instead now I really have no problem saying no to things that aren't in my giftedness. Not to say that there's places I serve. Of course I do. In my church, I serve in different areas that, we have to step into once in a while. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to my business and even in the workplace, I really hone in on what my strengths are and what I'm good at. And that way I feel more energized and less defeated at the end of the day.
So, Betsy, I know that we're talking about gifts and strengths, but I also know you're really good at helping women discover their spiritual gifts. And I think sometimes with spiritual gifts, we tend to think, oh, they're only good for use in the church. But I kind of have always had this feeling that, no, I think we also have to use them out in the marketplace. Can you share a little bit about, can we use our spiritual gifts effectively in the marketplace, and what would that look like?
Oh, sure. So, absolutely. In fact, I think more than ever, we're called to use them out in the secular world. And I think that as believers, we're called to serve. We want to serve, and we're equipped to serve, but we have to do it beyond just the setting up the walls of our church. Mm-hmm. I think we have to step out in our community. I think our Christian believers, we're searching for purpose. We're searching for significance more than ever. And we want to make a contribution. And we can do that, but we don't always know what to offer, how we should serve. And so spiritual gifts, knowing them, especially your primary gift and kind of what your ministry gifts are, will just give you that focus and direction. Oh, this is what God wants me to do. Because you can use your spiritual gifts in the grocery store. You can use it with every relationship that you encounter. It's just they're there to be used all the time. And so to me, I guess that's my main new message is God's called me to really kind of join a spiritual gifts movement to help people take their gifts, in the church as well as out of the church.
That is so encouraging, and I'm so glad to hear that, because I think we need more women. First of all, we need more women like you step into that marketplace space and say, hey, you do have spiritual gifts that we need to start working on. But more importantly, you can kind of show us what that looks like by example, to be salt and light into the world. And definitely that we do that, we accomplish that by using our gifts and our spiritual gifts. So I definitely want to make sure we have a link in the show notes, and maybe as an extra addendum, if people want to get a hold of you and kind of talk to you about how they can go about doing that, would that be okay with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I would love that.
Great. And this brings me back to my point about being salt and light. Part of your story in the book was when you first started your career, you really put yourself in a very vulnerable position about being salt and light. Can you tell us a little bit about what you wrote in the book that, how did that look to you as you stepped into a new business? You were in a small town. I think it's a small town, rural Minnesota. And how you became more of an overcomer. Kind of share with us a little bit of your journey, because I think a lot of us think, oh, everyone just showed up in this perfect position and they were this perfectly educated, great family, nothing ever wrong kind of person. But that's not the case for most of us. So can you share a little bit about what your journey looked like?
Well, my journey, I guess, started probably when I was 16 and I became a teenage mom. Mm-hmm. And so I learned early on the responsibility and all of those things and how poor choices affect our lives. But it was actually when I was 26 that being a single mom of a 10-year-old boy, I kind of hit rock bottom. I had been just divorced, and lost everything, my home, everything. And God pretty much called me to go back home and to do something really super hard. And that was to go become a doctor of chiropractic. And at that time I was deep in debt. I thought, how am I going to do that? How am I going to go to school for, college for 6 years? But of course he lit my way for me, and I asked for a lot of help along the way. And so 6 years later, I managed, with the help of my family and friends and all kinds of people, I did open my chiropractic practice back in my hometown, which, people that are in small towns, they know everything about your past, and you're just that little girl growing up. And so I had to, really kind of prove that I was now this responsible doctor. And I was so well received. It was, I'm so grateful that people could see past. I think maybe it's because we all have mistakes that we've made, and we do change and grow up. So I do give thanks that, people were willing to come back and look beyond my past and support me. But it definitely, I had a lot to survive there. I had my strengths and my gifts, of course, are as a leader. And so it was, I really relied on those strengths to get me, built up in my chiropractic practice.
And I love how you said in the book that your light of your past didn't diminish the future. I think that's so important for another woman to hear who may be feeling like she's less than acceptable, or she could have just gone through a divorce and needs to start a new career. That there's hope. I mean, that's what I hear in your story, not only overcoming, but there's hope, and you can be salt and light. You stood true to what you believe at the time, and you knew God was putting a light at your path. It was humbling. You had to move back home. You had to just, allow people to maybe gossip. I don't know if they did or not, but being in a small town, I'm sure there was a part of that. But you really gave hope, and that's part of what being salt and light is. It's more through our actions than our words, I think.
Right, it is. And if there is anyone out there that is doubting, do you have the skills, or is my past just too overwhelming that people aren't going to get past it? They will, if you do. And once that woman realizes the past is there for a reason, learn from it. What did God teach you? What did he want you to walk away with? What character trait or what value? And then embrace that and put it to work in the future. And so for me, just overcoming the past, for my past, was, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I was still able to go back to school and get my doctorate degree, even though I was a teenage mom. And we can all overcome with the help of God, of course.
Absolutely. And that is really encouraging. So, you've had to juggle a lot of things. You have a child, you have school, then you became a doctor, and now you have 2 businesses. How do you structure your time? You're a self-admitted, purpose-driven overachiever. I love that. So, and give us an example of how that classic overachiever syndrome might kind of play out in your life, and what things did you have to shift in order to really be successful?
The greatest shift that I've made lately is just to have patience and to give time for God to do his work. And as a maximizer and an achiever and a strategy and a futuristic, all of those strengths could get me wrapped up to being such a, purpose-driven person. Instead, he is really, I don't want to say forcing. He's really making it a point of that I need to be more patient. I have to wait on him. And so to structure my time isn't hard. I don't have any kids at home now. My husband, we're both self-employed. I can really schedule my schedule any way that I want, other than my chiropractic hours. But, and so for me, it's the discipline of my mind. Okay, what am I going to do today to honor myself, to, do more devotional work, to do more prayer work, to do more exercising. And so I really have to mentally make that in my schedule. Otherwise, I'm so caught up in achieving, my business goals that I forget that I have personal goals.
Well, and personal goals are just as important as business goals, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
we'd like to think on
I'm
paper.
supposed to think that, and I know that, and I teach that. But when you're an overachiever, and especially when I'm doing something I love, oh my goodness, it's hard for me to walk away when I'm so wrapped up in God's, what I'm doing and then serving. It's so energizing that sometimes I forget. Wait a minute, now you got to take a minute and go exercise.
Mm-hmm. That's hard. That is hard,
it
though.
Is.
But
yeah.
the personal care, especially, I find that ironic that, and I find this in myself as well, but I see this in you. So you're a healthcare provider, you're a doctor of chiropractic on one side of the table, but the thing you find the struggle with is taking the time for yourself for that health care,
Exactly.
I mean, we're all like that. It's kind of like what we need to learn is what we have to teach other people so we can relearn it ourselves.
Exactly. That is exactly true.
Now, one of the things that you talked about also in the book is as you're kind of now running an official Christian business, because you never really shied away from the fact that you were a Christian, but sharing your faith and being graceful and truthful, you said on a spiritual level, you felt like sometimes you were an imposter. I think so many women, not just on a spiritual level, but women struggle with this whole imposter syndrome. I think especially high achieving women. And so what has kind of helped you get over that? And what has, maybe even just tell us what the struggle has been. And have you figured it out? Because the rest of us definitely want to know if we're struggling with it. What does that look like for you?
Well, and since even writing my story for the book, it has changed. For me, it's that that transition that I'm in, going from being a chiropractor, which is my reputation for 25 years. It's been my livelihood. It's been who I am. And now I'm transitioning fully away from that into teaching spiritual gifts in churches and to Christian women. And so there's this imposter syndrome, they call that, where, the Satan will get in there and put that doubt in, like, well, who are you to teach spiritual gifts? You're not a pastor. You're not a theologian. You're just a life coach. And so, he wants to place that, imposter type mentality that who do I think I am? And so I'd have to really just remember, my verse is Ephesians 2:10, that, God has called and equipped us. And so I have to just keep remembering he has fully equipped me for the work that he's called me to do. And he's called me first, then, equips me. And so I have to, anytime I feel there's that doubt that I'm not qualified, I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't be doing this, who do I think I am? Instead, I think, wait a minute, no, I'm God's masterpiece. I'm fully equipped. I have a plan, and he expects me to walk it out. And so I have to remember that Satan can put those doubts in me, but it's God's word that will ultimately, what I have to just absolutely stand firm on for when I feel like that.
Hey, it's Christy again. That was just the first half of my interview with Dr. Betsy Lavin. To hear the full interview, don't forget, I want to invite you to download the Women Infused app, where you will find full-length interviews from our We Walk by Faith book series and exclusive bonus materials to help you walk out your own journey of faith in the marketplace. You can download the free Women Infused app at womeninfusedapp.com. There's a link here in the show notes. There you will find the Women Infused podcast channel, where you can find Betsy's full interview, episode 23. You can also get your free copy of the ebook, Love Notes of Encouragement for Women of Faith in the Marketplace. There is a link to the free ebook devotional when you click on the episode 23 podcast. Could you also do me a favor? Could you tell all your friends to download the Women Infused app if you like this? And they can go to womeninfusedapp.com. Our vision is to reach 1 million women for Christ with faith teachings, lifestyle information, and practical business and leadership principles for women of faith. And if you know anyone who you think would like to have their own broadcast channel on our network, please have them contact me directly at Christy@ChristyLynnOlson.com. There's a link to my email in the show notes also. I'd love to chat with them about it. So goodbye for now, and remember, alone you are significant, but together we are amazing.
This has been Women Infused Radio, connecting women around the globe with purpose and spirit. And we want to connect with you. Get your free gift, Unveiled Voices, 6 things you need to do to define your value, voice, and vision. For more information on the free gift and links to join the conversation on social media, visit us at ChristyLynnOlson.com.